Hello everyone, welcome back. I want to talk to you guys about some shooting I did today. I was shooting this Ruger 1022 out to 233 yards using a Holosun red dot. Okay, now this is the Holosun 503G. Okay, and this has the ACSS reticle. That stands for Advanced Combat Sighting System. The reticle looks like this. Basically, you get this 65 MOA horseshoe, right? Basically it's a I don't know, a 3/4 circle. It's not a complete circle, so it's kind of a horseshoe circle, and then you have a chevron over here, and you have a tip there so that you can be like really precise as opposed to like a 2 MOA red dot, and then you've got 3 dots underneath it. So the idea with a red dot in general is that it's meant for close-up shooting. Okay, within 100 yards, you know, it's meant for fast target acquisition. You come up, put the red dot on target. Right? So basically, you come in, red dot on target, bang, 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 bang. So it's meant for fast target acquisition. As opposed to let's say this one that I have on here. This is a primary arms 1-8 that I have on this Ruger MPR. This has a 1-8 scope. Okay, so a scope like this, which has an 8 power, is basically meant for distance shooting, but being able to dial it down to 1 power gives it a close range capability. Okay, so if I can go to 1 power, you know, like it is right now, I can come up, right, and I can kind of use this as a red dot for, you know, for up close. So basically the 1-8 is a distance scope that gives you close range capability. The a red dot that has ACSS on it is basically for close range, but it gives you some distance capability. Now with the 22 that I was shooting today, I have this sighted in at 20 yards. So basically what I do is I put the tip here at 20 yards, okay? And what that means is that when I put that tip, let's say at the bottom of this blue bullseye here, you know, at 20 yards I have a bullseye. At 30 yards I'm shooting about 1 inch high. At 50 yards I am 2 inches high. At 75 yards, the bullet's coming back down now, so I have a 75 yard zero. So I have 2 zeros. I have one at 20 yards. I have a second one at 75 yards. And then at 100 yards, I am 4 inches low. Okay. Now, in order for that to work, basically, you have to use a standard riser so that your line of sight is 2.5 inches above your bore. Okay. So you need, basically, your line of sight is 2.5 inches over your bore. And that's how you're gonna get that with that 20 yard zero. Now, I want to, you know, for shooting out to 233 yards, what I did is I put this bottom dot basically at the top. I anchored it to the top of this paper over here. When I shot this to 200 yards, and I did a prior video on this when I was shooting 200 yards, at 200 yards, I'm putting that dot basically in the center over here, okay? At 233 yards, I'm anchoring right to the top over here, and I shot 10 shots, and then I shot another 10 shots. So out of 20 shots that I shot at 233 yards, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the paper, and 8 really close, okay, at 233 yards using this red dot basically. What I then did is I opened up the cardboard, okay, and I tried it again. I put it at the top of the paper here. This time, basically just look at the circle ones for now. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to guess the other 2 landed someplace down here. So I noticed that this time I was probably a little bit deeper into the paper than I was the previous time. So what I said is, you know, let me try going a little bit higher and see what that does. And when I did that, you know, basically this thing opened way up. It went like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, So basically it opened up a lot more. The reason for that is because once I start trying to anchor off the paper, it's really hard to be consistent as to exactly where you're anchoring, because at 233 yards I can't see the cardboard. All I see is this white dot basically at 203 yards. When I look at this reticle, okay, basically this line over here, I mean, I really don't see 3 dots. I see like this squiggly line over here because my eyes aren't perfect. So unless you got perfect vision, you're not going to see these 3 dots over here. This is going to, you're going to see more of what looks like a solid line, and it's really, really thin. So it's really hard, once you start trying to play a guessing game with going above, somewhere above the bullseye, I mean, it really opens up. But when you keep it when you anchor right to the edge of this, you're able to keep it somewhat tight, because basically you can see I have a 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a 5-shot cluster out of 10 right here. Okay, so I think this is a great red dot. It really gives you the ability to shoot out to 233 yards, using a red dot. The reason why I'm doing this is basically, I have this, pretty much set up the way I would have this set up, let's say for an AR-15. I use a dot like this on my AR-15. With this type of with this scope, basically what I would do is on an AR, I would zero in at 100 yards. So basically the top of the arrow is 100 yards. The 2 legs down here are 300 yards, okay? And then the first dot is 400 yards, 500 yards, 600 yards. So the last dot is 600 yards. So the issue is I don't have 600-700 yards to shoot at regularly, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm using the 22 to give me the chance to practice using those dots. So basically by using a 22, I'm able to make use of the full capability of this red dot, within 233 yards. So it's a really, basically it's a good exercise, I find. The other thing that's cool about this is that using this, you can, in addition to this being a bullet drop compensator, you can also use it as a range estimator. The idea with this is if a man can fit inside those 2 legs, you are at 400 yards. If his torso goes to the outside of the legs, you're within 300 yards. And then you can also use height. At 600 yards, a man is going to fit inside. It's basically going to put his legs there. His head would fit inside the legs. At 500 yards, his shoulders would come up to the legs, and his head would go to the center of the center of the chevron. And then at 400 yards, basically his shoulders would go about to the center, and his head would come just above the tip of that chevron. So it's also a good range estimator. So I think it's a great red dot. I think it does something like 10,000 hours on a 2032 battery, and it has an auto shut off. So even if you don't turn it off, it's after 10 minutes it automatically shuts itself off, and then it has shake awake. So when you pick this up, it basically comes back to life. So you can leave this always on, and it's not going to run down your battery. And then if you go to grab it, it's ready to go. It's ready to go to work. So I have 2 of these. I think Holosun's a great company. I have a number of Holosun red dots. And I think basically I think it cost $219 over the holidays. I got it with a discount, so I got it for $200. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications. I'll talk to you guys next time.